A very good morning to all the students of class 11th political science. And students, as you know, we were doing the first chapter of your book Constitution at Work, and the name of the first chapter is Constitution Why and How. So we had already completed 5 parts of this chapter, and today we are going to start the 6th part of this chapter. So basically from the last lecture we had started an important topic of this chapter, that is India, this fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution, which is at the part third. So you have to remember this is part third. So in the part third of the Constitution, you will find the description regarding the fundamental rights. So we had discussed this in the last video where we started right to equality. So one by one, as I told you, we will do each right because it will take time, as deeply we have to understand these rights. So we have to understand various dimensions, various notions and components of these rights. So when we were studying about right to equality, with the help of few examples which are given in your NCERT book, we tried to understand various components which are written here, right, equal protection of laws, protection of discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth, equal access to shop, etc. So all these are the important, we can say, components to understand right to equality in detail. What is the significance of this right to equality when we talk about the fundamental rights of each citizen, and how it is inbuilt, and why the various functions have been put within this right. So all that we have understood in the last video. But today, moving forward in this list, we'll move forward to the next important right which is mentioned in our constitution and on this page number 31 of your NCERT book. This is right to freedom. So today we'll try to cover this particular topic, right to freedom, and it is one of the most important topic. It is a broad I would say freedom for you. For understanding right to freedom, we will have to understand many laws which are under right to freedom. It means there are various notions which we will have to study under right to freedom. So in short, we just call that right to freedom. Okay, so what are the things which we study under right to freedom? So all these things we will have to understand one by one, specifically understanding what is the relevance of these important laws and why they are so closely linked with right to freedom. Like in the first one, we can say protection of right, like freedom of speech and expression. Like everyone has a freedom to speech and expression, so we'll understand that with the help of examples. Assemble peacefully. Every citizen in India has the right to assemble peacefully if they want to demonstrate regarding any injustice or any discrimination being against them. Form association. We have also the right to form associations and unions. You must have like in the Kisan Union, we can see there is a Kisan Union in this protest, so we can form our unions. We have the freedom to form this. Move freely. We have the freedom, we can move freely throughout the territory of India, and we can settle down, we can reside, we can propagate any religion, we can follow any profession. So all those are the simple right to freedom, and all things are we will be studying on the right to freedom. So practice any profession, to carry on any occupation, trade or business. There are no restrictions. Like in the previously in ancient India, we used to see the four varna system, where whatever our fathers were doing, we the same functions, the same profession we had to follow. Like if we are Brahmans, then his son, Brahman's son, has to be Brahman. If someone was Shudra, he also had to do the same functioning activities as his father did. But now, according to the Constitution of India, fundamental rights have been given, where we have the freedom to select and choose own activities and own professions of our own choice and capabilities and capacities. Protection in respect of convention for offences, this we shall do in detail. What do we understand by right to life and personal liberty, as we had studied in under article 21. Right to education. Everyone has the right to education, as we can see various policies and plans which has been put down by the government to increase the literacy rate. Okay. Protection against arrest. If we are arrested, what are the protection given to a citizen by the constitution or by the government, so that he can prove himself. Okay, so there are many protection given to a person who is accused of doing some crime. Okay, so all these things are the important components and notions which come under right to freedom. So we can say right to freedom is not just a single right, it is a cluster of rights, it's a cluster of laws. So we need to have a detailed broad understanding of this concept of right to freedom. So this we are going to study it from your book now, all these points one by one. So this is a part 6 as I have told you. So I'm continuing it from here. Right to freedom, equality and freedom or liberty. If we say equality, freedom, or we use liberty also in place of freedom, but there is a difference which we will do in the next book. In the next book we will find the difference, what do we understand by freedom and liberty. But here we need to understand equality and freedom, they are very closely linked together, and each one is very important and relevant. Without the other one cannot exist. So equality and freedom or liberty, we can say, are the two rights that are most essential to a democracy. In a democracy, rights and freedom are the most important rights, I would say. It is not possible to think of the one without thinking of the other. So we cannot think just of equality and we can ignore freedom, or we cannot just think of freedom and we can ignore equality. So both are important and simultaneously they have to work in the society. Liberty means freedom of thoughts. If we talk about liberty, liberty means freedom of thought, when we have the freedom to thought, expression, or action. However, it does not mean freedom to do anything. Liberty means we have got that we can think anything, we can express it, and we can do any actions regarding that. But it does not mean, freedom does not mean we can do anything like at midnight I want to party with my friends. It does not mean that I can play loud music in my home and I'm disturbing the entire neighborhood or in the community within which I'm living. So it means I'm living my freedom, I have got the freedom, but I cannot violate or I cannot endanger the or threaten the freedom of the other people, because other peoples also have the freedom. So if I am endangering or damaging the freedom of the other people, it cannot be called a freedom. So freedom means it is in a limited way where I do not hurt or where I do not threaten the freedom of the other people. So that is called freedom. However, it does not mean freedom to do anything that one desires or like. That if that were to be permitted, then a large number of people not be able to enjoy their freedom. That is, if I will enjoy my freedom to the way I want, to the extent I want, it means other people will not be able to enjoy their freedom, because of my activities their freedom will be violated. Okay, so I do not want that my others freedom should be endangered or threatened because of my activities. So I will have to keep in mind कि while enjoying my freedom I do not endanger or I do not threaten the freedom of the other people in the society. Therefore, freedom are defined as such a manner. That is why if we talk about the definition of the freedom, it is defined in such a manner that every person will enjoy his or her freedom. Okay, every person, citizen has the right to enjoy his or her freedom, but they have to keep in mind without threatening the freedom of the others or without endangering the laws and other situations. We also have to keep in mind that we do not violate the laws while enjoying our freedom, because that is why there are certain constraints, there are some restrictions put on the freedom. So while enjoying our freedom we have to keep lot of things in our mind. So under right to freedom, the very first component, as I had shown you in that chart, there are various type of laws or the cluster of rights, we can say. So one right under right to freedom which we study, and the most important, is right to life and personal liberty. This is a right which is given to every human being who is born on earth, or we can say within the territory of India, because with this we are studying in context to Indian constitution. So every Indian citizen has the right to life and personal liberty. No one can take this right from any person, because as a human being he is born in India, he or she is born in India. So no one can take their this right of life and personal liberty. So we'll try to understand in detail what do we understand by right to life and personal liberty. This comes under article 21, and this example also we had taken when we started the chapter, when we were studying about that why rights are important. Okay, in that we saw and read the example of the workers who was working in the construction sites for Asian Games. We had seen that. So the foremost right among rights of freedom is the right. So if we talk about the very first important right under right to freedom, under right to freedom is the right to life and personal liberty. No citizen can be denied of his life. No citizen can be denied of his life except by the procedure laid down under the law. It means no one can be punished or no one can kill anyone or no one can be punished like हमने देखा है फांसी मिल जाती है, सज़ा मिल जाती है after some cases are being taken up in for trial and finally the accused person is being punished, but he can be only punished according to the law. Otherwise no one can punish anyone, no one can take the life of any person. That is why there is an exception, except procedure laid down by under the law. But according to the law, a person can be punished, a person can be hanged till death, or he can be put behind the jail for the lifetime prison. But except the law, no one has a right to take the life and personal liberty of any citizen. So that is why there is an exception. So you have to remember this term, except. Similarly, so there is a condition, okay. Similarly, no one can be denied his or her personal liberty. That means no one can be arrested without being told on the ground of such arrest. So we have seen in the movies, especially in the Bollywood movies you have been watching, especially the movies of 90s, where we used to see the supreme authorities were like police used to be like everything in most of the movies. So that is a misconception by the people, and many uneducated people are unaware about it. So as a student of political science, you must be aware of your rights, what are your rights and what are the various procedures which are followed. You may help yourself, your family members or your friends when they are under these situations. Suppose a person is being arrested by the police, okay, without being told on the grounds of his arrest. So whenever a police arrest a person, it is the responsibility of the police that they tell that person, they inform that person on that on what grounds he or she has been arrested. Okay, if arrested, the person has the right to defend him. On every person who has been arrested, he has the right to defend himself. He can hire a lawyer for himself. If he is unable to hire a personal lawyer, he will get the government lawyer. Okay, also it is mandatory for the police, it is also mandatory for the police to take the person to the nearest magistrate. Okay, police is the, we can say, uh, executive part and magistrate is the judiciary part. So police has to present that arrested person in front of the magistrate, that is the judges, within 24 hours. If they don't do so, it means they are vaulting the laws. So it is compulsory for the police that whomever person, on whatever charges they have arrested a person, they have to present that particular accused a person in front of the judge within 24 hours, and then later it is the responsibility of the magistrate or the judge that he looks into the matter, he sees on what base a person has been arrested, and he decides whether a arrested person on the which grounds he has been arrested is justified or not. So this is a way we see the sharing of power between the judiciary and the executives, okay, or we can say between the executive and the judiciary. So here we can say how a person is being protected or has been given a chance to prove himself innocent. And this right is not just confined to a guarantee against the taking away of individual's life, but as wider application. Various judgments of Supreme Court have expanded the scope of this right. So here it means this right, that is right to life and personal liberty, is not only limited to here giving protection to the people who are accused and who are being arrested by the police, because till police has arrested a person, it does not mean that person has committed a crime. He has been on a just he has been arrested on the basis that he may have been may have committed that crime, but it does not mean that he will get the punishment by the police. He has to be presented in front of the magistrate within 24 hours, and magistrates justifies that his arrest is justified according to law or not. But this right to life and personal liberty is not only limited to this part. Its jurisdiction or its dimensions has spread and evolved with time because of the various decisions made by the Supreme Court in the past. Supreme Court has ruled that this right also includes right to live with human dignity. It's here. Supreme Court has ruled. Now Supreme Court has ruled, given a law, that this right, which right to life and personal liberty, this right also includes right to live with human dignity. It's not that someone is born within the territory of India, okay, he will live, and government has to do nothing to look after him, to give him a healthy and a good lifestyle. But it is the responsibility of the government through law that they will see that all the people are having their human dignity. They are living with a human dignity. There are no discrimination on the basis of caste, color, language, okay, and they are not being exploited by anyone. There is no we can say differences between rich and poor, and some sections are not trying to be dominant. All those are the responsibilities of the government. The court has held the right to shelter and livelihood, and under this law, this right to life and personal liberty, now the court has also said that everyone should have shelter and access to shelter and livelihood. That is why we see various plans and policies which are being conducted and run by the government, like PDS, public distribution system, where the rations are given in the lockdown period also. It is a responsibility of the government to provide food and shelter to the people, because as under the constitution, every person has the right to life and personal liberty, and no person can survive without food. So it becomes the fundamental duty of the government to provide food and grains and the shelter to the people. That is why here is written shelter and livelihood also included in the right to life, because no person can live without the means of living. This is means livelihood. So these things you have to see how the rights have expanded with time. Previously it was only about protecting citizens from the police or the arrest, and giving them a fair chance to prove themselves innocent. But with time the things have expanded, and now it is also the responsibility that of the government to see that every human is living with the human dignity, and they have the access to their livelihood. It means they have the access to shelter and food. Next important notion of right to freedom. So this is also under right to freedom. Right to freedom. So preventive detention. So we'll try to understand preventive detention. Already you have studied in junior classes also, but again we are revising it here. Ordinary, a person would be arrested after he or she has reportedly committed some offense. So in the previous part of this video we have seen also that a person can be only arrested if he has committed some offense or he has violated some laws. After that only a person can be arrested, and he can be presented before the magistrate within 24 hours. But however there are exceptions, but there are some exceptions, other situations where what we see, some people are arrested simply out of an apprehension that he or she likely to engage in an unlawful activity, where we arrest a person simply on the basis where we think and we assume that that particular person can be engaged in a unlawful activity, and which can threaten the security and the peace of the nation or the society. So before that only we arrest a particular person, because we think he can be involved in an unlawful activity and imprisoned for such some time without following the above mentioned procedure. So without following the above mentioned procedure, which we saw under the right to life and personal liberty, where I told you when a police arrested someone on the as he was accused of doing some offense, then within 24 hours that particular person has to be presented before the magistrate, and he shall have the right to defend himself through the lawyer. But here in this case of preventive detention, without following this entire procedure, a person is arrested as he is thought of being engaged in an unlawful activity. This situation is called preventive detention. When beforehand only we arrest a particular person because we think that that particular person can be engaged in an activity which can lead to the unlawful activities within our society. It means that if a government feels that, it means if a government feels that a person can be threat to a law or order or to the peace and security of the nation, it can detain or arrest that person. Like we saw in many of the protests which are there in India recently, CAA, we have seen farmers law. In these cases also many of their leaders were being arrested on the charge, because they thought that because of those leaders this there can be a situation of unrest and disturbance in the society, there can be violence. So beforehand only such people are arrested under preventive detention. This preventive detention can be extended only for 3 months, okay, and the person can be arrested only 3 months. After 3 months, in this such type of cases of preventive detention, we have to go in front of the advisory board to review. We will have to review, okay, this person on what charges he was arrested on the basis of preventive detention. On the face of it, preventive detention looks like an effective tool in hands of the government to deal with an antisocial elements. It is a very good and effective tool in the hands of the government when it comes to security and peace of the society. It works with antisocial elements which are against the society. It helps the government to maintain peace and decorum. But this provision has also been misused, but this is also misused by the government many times. Many people think that there must be greater safeguards in this law so that they may not be misused. So people think that there should be some more laws against preventive detentions. Some new provisions should be added with preventive detention so that the government does not misuse such type of powers. So in fact there is a clear, so we can say in fact there is a clear tension between the right to life and personal liberty. One side we are talking about right to life and personal liberty, on the other hand we are talking about preventive detention, where we have seen without any proofs, on just on the basis of the thinking that we assume that this person can commit a crime, we arrest that person. So there has been a tension between these two rights, and these two comes under right to freedom. Okay, so these were some of the important rights. Let's talk some about the general freedom rights. You can see that under the right to freedom there are some other rights as well. These rights, however, are not absolute. Each of these subjects to restriction imposed by the government. There are many, as we were reading right to freedom, as I had shown you many components of freedom. Why we call the freedom, right to freedom, as a cluster of rights? Because there are many rights under right to freedom, but they are not absolute. It means there are various restrictions imposed by the government on these rights. For example, right to freedom of speech. Okay, we have been given the right to speech and expression, but along with that government had put some restrictions on speech and expression is a subject to restrictions on public order, peace and morality. Freedom to assemble. Okay, we have the freedom to assemble anywhere and protest, to exercise, but it should be peaceful and it should be without arms. So these are the restrictions and conditions put. So freedom doesn't mean we can do anything. Okay, we are getting some opportunities, we are getting some liberty to do something, but also we have to follow some restrictions. The government may impose restrictions in certain areas, declaring assembly of 5 or more persons unlawful. In the conditions where, when we talk about the peace and security of a country, where the situations are not good, the government may put restrictions on the assembly also, where people are not allowed to gather and talk. 5 or more people are not allowed to gather and talk together. It is called lawful in certain situations. Such powers can be easily misused by the administration. The genuine protest against the act of policy of government by the people may be denied. Many times there are very genuine protests by the people against the government policies, but those are denied. So here we can see the power of the government. However, if the people are aware and vigilant, but if the people, common people, if they are vigilant, they are more aware about their rights and choose to protest against such acts of administration, such misuse become rare. But if we are educated, we are aware of our rights, and we protest at various incidents and various activities of the government, this type of misuse of the power by the government or the administration would be rare. In the Constituent Assembly itself, some members had expressed their dissatisfaction about restrictions on the rights. So as we had seen about the preventive detention, we have seen the right to life and liberty. So when, as I told you, a police arrests some person as he's accused of doing some crime or violating some laws, before presenting him before the magistrate, every accused person who is being arrested, he also has rights. That is why we say constitution is protecting our rights. So through fundamental rights, this accused person also has certain rights. If police has arrested him, it does not mean he does not have any right to protect himself. He will get a fair chance to protect himself. Our constitution ensured that person accused of various offences would also get sufficient protection. And how we can give a protection to this accused person? We often tend to believe that anyone who is charged with some offense is guilty, because mostly we think, and in the movies and everything we have seen, whoever is being arrested of some offense, we think he is guilty. But it is not our job. It is the job of the judiciary. The job of the police is to arrest this person of a particular charge of offending something or violating some law. But it is the responsibility of the judiciary finally who will decide that that person is guilty or not. So before that, however, no one is guilty unless the court has found that person guilty. It means we need evidences, and it is the responsibility of court to decide that person is guilty or not of that particular offense. It is also necessary that a person accused of any crime should get adequate opportunity to defend. But that accused person, he should get an opportunity and protection to defend himself and to prove himself innocent. If he is innocent, he will get a free chance. He will have his own lawyer and he will get the equal chance to speak about himself. To ensure, so he will get a fair trial in the court. The constitution has okay. So this was the rights of accused person. So with this we come to this right, fundamental rights, and I will be giving you certain important question regarding this particular right. Till then, thank you.